Jamesy, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Cam? How y'all doing this morning?
Man,
How you doing?
We're chilling, dude. We're chilling. It's Thursday, man. Hanging out.
Yeah, man. I'm just calling in to call about this crazy winter warm-ups. We just listened to a bunch of pile of crap. You got a bunch of nonsense. Jim Hayes.
Yep.
They talking about.
I thought we were friends.
Mr.
No!
Tucker Barnhart, lover.
About Verhaji sandwich competing for a starting job at training camp. So obviously our season ain't going to go well. That's the details right there.
Wait, you're saying you don't want Jordan Walker to compete for a...
No, we want Jordan Walker. We don't need Verhaji sandwich in the starting rotation. We don't need that. We've heard the Jack Flaherty stuff 3 years in a row. So we got to see it, man. We need some pitching, man. And they don't want to address it. Basically said they don't want to spend no money. That's what I took from it. I just want to know what you guys took from the winter warm-ups. If you guys can elaborate on that a little more for me. I hope you guys have a great day, man. Stay blessed, man.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
All right.
I agree with James on everything he said.
My takeaway was, because what I take away was, they had delicious sandwiches. That was good.
Drew Verhoeven sandwich.
Not bad. Not bad.
Well, he said it.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I get where people say they don't have enough pitching, but it's got to unfold because they might. I've said from the beginning, and it was misinterpreted, I wouldn't have said the catcher should be a priority, but they did. They went out and they fixed that. I still think they need a lefty bat. I think that's their biggest need at this point, and it's only because I think Flaherty's going to be fine. I think he will, and I do think there'll be time to fix that if he's not, but I also think they have other guys that are decent options for the rotation if it doesn't work out. Now, I'll say it again. You can have 8 starters now, 8 starting pitchers, and say, we're fine. And at some point in the season, even if you had 10, you're not going to be fine. So I'll stipulate.
May I ask a question of you?
Sure.
And we can have a nice little debate. I'm just curious why you didn't think catcher was the main priority when, for the last 2 years, it was literally one of the worst positions in all of baseball. And we all love kids, don't get me wrong. I just look at it like, it wouldn't surprise me if Tyler O'Neill had a great season. He already has. It wouldn't surprise me if Dylan Carlson had a great season. He's already been close to that. It wouldn't surprise me if Lars Nootbaar had a season like last year.
You better.
But,
Why do you hate Jordan Walker?
well, I'm very high on Jordan Walker. My point is,
Kyle hates him.
you have a million options for outfielders that are super talented. All due respect to Kiz, who I love, the Cardinals have no one or had no one at the catching position that was even close to average.
Well, here's why. And I'll explain it.
I mean, they were like 30% below
And I've
average.
explained it before, but I'll explain it again. And I get it. So, to me, top priority is different. Like, yes, upgrading catcher would still be a priority. My top priority would be we have to replace the offense that we lost with Albert Pujols in the second half. Offensive numbers for the team were good. I get it, but there were still stops and starts. Even in the postseason, it was a stop. So, yes, catching would be a priority, but I felt like you could improve without that being your main priority. And what I wanted was a giant upgrade with a lefty bat, or at least someone who hits lefty, to break up the order and make an instant impact offensively. Now, Contreras can do that. But when I always say middle of the order guy, well, maybe not, because you're not going to stack 3 righties. So he'll probably be maybe a tick below middle of the order. I wanted a lefty bat because I think a big need. Albert Pujols was ridiculous in the second half, hitting righties and lefties. Now it's gone. Gone.
Bally's Sports Midwest.
So,
And their new play-by-play man, Seth Close.
Is that what's
so
going
he's
on?
playing
good night,
that this is-
everybody.
Hi, good night, everybody.
So this is.
Are we
Are we
breaking?
playing this? No, I think he's
hell
playing
no.
it like this is rights holder.
Rights holder talking, and the wombat's chirping too.
But you're actually not listening, because if it was rights holder, I'd
chirping.
say all they needed was Contreras. Someone actually said to me that I'm different this year because I'm calling out the Cardinals. I'm not calling them out. I just disagree. They need a lefty bat. and they haven't done it. And so there's a difference between on your list of priorities and your top priority. I wanted a meat-eating guy
There you go.
who could crush pitches from the left
shot
side of the
kicker.
plate.
What about a vegan?
to
Whoa, what about
extend it.
vegans?
Vegan.
The meat eaters are killing us.
That's
Yes,
Jimmy.
they are.
right.
So
Thanks
how-
a lot. You hate
so-
the environment.
That's
So
right.
how is that rights holder? And also, do you understand better what I meant by it?
When I say this, I 100% understand what you're saying. I also 100% disagree with what you're saying. And I only say that because
Wow.
well, but they have no options. They had no options at catcher. They had zero options at catcher. I understand what you're saying. They actually have a million options who have a lot of talent and who have proven it either a little bit in the big leagues or at the AAA level. Again, if you include the switch hitters, you got Gorman, you got Newt, you got Burleson as straight up lefties. Switch hitters, you have Carlson, you have Edman, and who am I forgetting? That was at least 5. 6?
I think you had. I think you had
Is
him.
that everybody? That's 5 guys at least that can hit from the left side. That's pretty good.
I'm talking
Jimmy
about.
all-inclusive.
Did I include Gorman?
He is all
Yeah.
inclusive, and he's down the middle. Go ahead.
I'm talking about a dependable guy who's done it before, just like an all-star bat that you put in the middle of the lineup. And I agree with you. And we've talked about this. All those guys I like and could be great. I'm talking about a guy who has done it before, who you know the numbers when you plug him into the lineup.
Donovan is who I forgot. That's 6. That's 6 guys who can hit from the left side. And I would make the argument 5 of them are okay in terms of being proven. Burleson is the one that is an absolute unknown at the big league level.
Middle of the order.
Hey, Jim.
Gorman,
Yeah, I don't know.
hitting 5th for you. Newbar in a random spot
I'm
in a
not saying they
matchup.
can't do
Pepper
it, but I would rather. They're going to need another lefty bat anyway. They're going to need like a DH type guy. I just wanted to see them get someone who would cost some money or cost some prospects, maybe break the logjam. A guy who you know can do damage from that side of the plate, give you 30 homers. I mentioned the Reynolds in Pittsburgh would be that type. I'm sure there are others if I bothered to do more research. I thought I would put that higher on my list, although catcher would be on the list. And I thought, too, that if you do that, you're going to upgrade. But since the catcher might not be middle of the order was, to me, more urgent because you lost Pujols, who was middle of the order, and who carried your offense.
I know we've basically already had this discussion, but my point is it's very hard to replace and find a legitimate top 5 or legit offensive catcher. It is not difficult at all to find a DH that can hit. And looking into this more, I didn't realize that Arenado and Goldie DH'd as much as they did last year. Those guys are going to get probably 20 games each at DH. I bet you Contreras gets 30. Right there, now you have, what do you have, 90 games left? Probably split up between Yepez and Gorman. I mean, I think the DH spot is going to be well above average for the Cardinals.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying I would have liked to see them get a big lefty bat. I'm talking about the upgrade that everyone's always chattering about. To go
Parker.
To go with your guy at first. To go with Arenado at third base. So all of a sudden that lineup becomes that much scarier, kind of like it was when they had Pujols, who dissolves. He's gone. He's retired, and you don't have that. And there's nothing you got in return to replace that.
In my opinion, if you look at what the Cardinals did last year, in my opinion, their 2 clear biggest needs. A catcher, which they addressed. They were last in the big leagues in strikeouts. Last.
It's a problem.
Last. And they have starting pitchers, but they have a lot of, what do you want to call them? 2s, 3s, 4s. They don't have the guy, unless Flaherty's healthy, to line up in a playoff series and feel like you really got a good matchup versus Nola and Wheeler.
Let's get the
And
text line
Scherzer
going.
and Verlander and whoever the hell else
Yeah.
you're
I
gonna
agree
face.
with that,
Yeah.
but we'll see what Flaherty is, and it's a huge mistake if he's not healthy. I think Michaelis as a number 2, pretty good. I would take that 1-2 punch going into a postseason. And again, like I said, this is how I would go with my priority list. But getting Contreras was a great move, like you said. Guys like him don't come along. They spent the money, so they didn't give up anything in return. It was a great move. That would have been my priority.
I get you, Jimmy. Hey, Jim. How many players in this Cardinals lineup in rotation are not question marks? Every time you describe the lineup, you use a lot of maybes and ifs. They figure it out. Seems like a recipe for success, Mr. Rights Holder. Wombat.
Play the music.
I don't really understand what
I
that
don't know.
means.
I thought it was going to be like, yeah, I don't know. I
Isn't,
just think there's a
isn't
lot
that,
of question
isn't
marks.
that my exact point? Was that there are a lot of question marks? That's why I wanted them to go out.
Wombat.
Wasn't that exactly what I said? Like, yes, I like all those guys. They're question marks. That's why I would have wanted them to go out and get a big bat.
There you go.
That's
Damn.
not exactly what I said.
I just think too many people are focusing, and I get it. They're focusing on 2 playoff games where you faced aces, and they're focusing on September when specifically Goldie really fell off. And he admitted that. We all know that. But over the course of 162, the Cardinals had a top 3 offense in the National League. They were actually really good. Even the outfield with a million question marks was well above average.
Bernie wrote an awesome article about the winter warm-ups a couple days ago, basically showing the stats of the Cardinals' postseason success from 1996 to 2013 and 14 present. Night and day difference. Cards ownership strategy, i.e. just get into the playoffs and anything can happen, used to work, but now it's looking outdated. 314, put a name in so I could give you a name. The problem with Jack is that even when he's healthy last year, his velo was down, and he looked rather pedestrian. We're really putting a lot of hope and trust into a guy who may or may not be at all that good. Joe Boo.
He wasn't very healthy for, he was healthy for a small part of the season coming back. Yes, is he a question? Absolutely. But if he's good, they're good.
Jack has to prove it and make 30 starts or 28, whatever it is. We all agree with that. I think that texture is wrong, though, because remember, Jack actually did finish the season healthy.
Strong.
Which he said was very good for his offseason, so it could be normal. Remember that game where he went up against Musgrove and the Padres, got hit a little bit early? We can look this up. I think he had 8, 9 strikeouts, and I believe he was hitting 97 on his 100th pitch. So I don't believe the velo was down. I'm sure, early when he was hurt.
Yeah.
But at the end when he finished, his velo was not down.
At the end, even to look at that, the end was such a small sample size. To say his velo was down he barely pitched last season.
Liberal Charlie is right for once.
Charlie is right.
Stick to sports guy. Well, that's nice. Cray. Ohtani could be our lefty. Ooh.
Yes. And your starter.
Ooh.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Whoa.
It'll only cost you $30 million in arbitration and $500 million in free agency.
What do you got here? Oh, James has one more point. Put him through. What's up, big dog?
Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, I forgot to tell you guys something. I wanted to give Charlie his props for last week. He told you guys that it's kind of insulting to the fans for Mozeliak to come out and say that he was going to increase the payroll, and the payroll, went up by a couple $1 million. It didn't change, man. And I wanted to see what you guys thought. Elaborate on Bill DeWitt's comments as far as him saying that their motto is to get in the playoffs and roll the dice from there, not to go out and just spend money on big names. Thank you guys, man. Have a great day.
Right on, James.
You too, buddy.
Yeah, they lying to the people.
Yes. They have no big names in their lineup.
Arenado,
They have no big names.
Goldie, Contreras. But what he says, don't you think, I know, listen, we joke about the rights holder stuff. I think with John Mozeliak, when he talks, he's usually not doing a smokescreen, which is why when he said so publicly, we are going to increase payroll, to me, I took that as that's going to be a significant increase. So if it's really up $1 million or $2 million, I think he did a disservice to himself and the fan base, because when you say that, you can't go, oh, it's actually up $1.2 million. No, you don't say that. Now, I will give him this. If they go crazy at the trade deadline, I'll take all this back.
Okay.
But I think in the offseason, when you say we're going to increase payroll,
I agree with
and
you,
it's a big headline, and you really don't, I think he probably wishes he didn't say that.
I think over the years, Mo has said stuff that he kind of regretted, and I think this is one of those cases. Will they up the payroll when they need to, if they're in a good position? Yeah, I also think, too, you say something like that, and then the offseason doesn't pan out the way that you had planned. You know, it works this way. The analytics guys put a price tag. Like, this player out there is worth this dollar amount. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Each player has a dollar amount. And if you're in the free agent market and these guys are saying, no, he's not worth, $20 million more than what we think, they're not doing it because they're looking for value.
You'll never win a big free agent deal probably ever if you look at it like that. Even Wilson Contreras, I guarantee you, they didn't want to give the 5th year, whatever the option is. You have to go a little bit beyond your puke point, to use a Cardinals term, to actually get the deal done.
So they've done it in the past, like with Dexter to bring him here. They had a need and they had money. With Cecil, they overpaid.
All these worked out.
Knowing,
but Brett Cecil wasn't like some big time.
No,
he's a lefty reliever.
No, but there's a point
with glasses.
Bad
body.
But the example,
playing video games.
Bad body.
But the example plays into it, right? They needed a guy, a lefty coming out of the pen, who was dependable. They had money. They paid more than they wanted. There are times they get away from that. Contreras is another example, but that's basically how they do it. And I think it changes when you're in the $300 million range for some of these guys.
What do you think, Sir Nathaniel?
I think they got a boost to the lineup with Contreras. I think he's going to really help the lineup. And when you read the tea leaves of what Mo said, I mean, first of all, I don't know if anybody anticipated the free agent market exploding like it did. I mean, when you got teams like the Mets that are just throwing cash at players, and then you try to evaluate what you have internally and if the upgrade of these guys would have been that much more substantial, I don't think it would have been. So you're trying to move the needle, right? That's the end goal. You're trying to ultimately make your team better. So if that means developing guys, making sure that they get better internally versus going outside the organization and spending a boatload of money, if that needle's not going to move a whole lot based on the projections that they have for their own guys versus what they were going to bring in, then like throwing cash at a name doesn't quite appease me. I think it does for the Fantasyland folks out there.
Yeah, the Fantasyland folks.
You know, they like that because they go, oh, I saw him play one time. I liked him.
He's a good player.
I don't know nothing about this bar newts, but
Pepper
you know.
grinder.
But the thing is like, why go get a player that's not going to actually give you any additional offensive output than the guys that you already have?
So basically, we agree because, as I said, the free agent, whatever their plans were for the offseason, didn't pan out that way. Prices went up, and all of a sudden, the guy who was this price equation, that we have internally, and our guy projects better, we're not making that move. I agree with that. I think Contreras was I think that was the smartest thing they did, because they didn't have to give up any of these guys. It was money, which they had, and they brought in a guy who clearly wants to be here, who is an offensive upgrade. I just worry about the middle of the replacing Pujols. Like what he did last year was unbelievable, and so that's the bat they got to replace. Contreras will certainly help in that, but is it enough?
Yeah, Jack's last 5 starts last year were amazing, Charlie. 6 innings, 6 base runners, 6 innings, 9 base runners, 5 innings, 8 base runners, 5 innings, 10 base runners. But yeah, finish the year strong. Jobu.
I was responding to, first of all,
Jobu ain't
the
playing.
texture said velo was down, which it was not. It was down early when he was injured.
Well, this is an interesting one, a long one. Speaking of genealogy, as I've texted before, my wife is Native American with the casinos. Oh, yeah, I remember you, dude. What's up, Banksy?
So they get cash?
That was a nice. Remember we were talking about reservations and stuff like that? And he's like, this is a really nice one. I'm like, well, you're lucky because not many of them are that nice, to be completely honest with you. Anyway, so he goes, I texted before, over Christmas, my in-laws and us did a family genealogy. My grandparents were all born in Germany. I glow in the dark. I'm so white. Shocker. All my relatives are German. My wife's family history being Native American goes all the way back to Julius Caesar and pretty much every famous Roman from Brutus to Scipio. I know Brutus. I don't know Scipio.
Takeo Spikes.
then pretty much every French and Viking king are also a part of their direct relatives. How the hell is any of that possible? She's more white than me? Banksy. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, he related to Caesar, dude. And Brutus. Brutus was gutless, though. Little gutless. Little stabby poo.
Yeah, I
Little
just
stabby poo.
so they can say, "Oh, you're a direct descendant of Caesar."
How does that work?
Did they have Caesar's DNA? Is that?
I'm sure those DNA was all over the forum there. It was all over the place.
And they had kits to
Yeah,
pick it up and
of course
check
they
it
did.
out.
So there was a guy that collected it. That was his job. He
Yeah,
went around with,
forensics guy.
with a little
I bet you somebody did do that.
petri dish.
I bet you somebody went there and wiped it on something and kept it.
By the way, just for the comprehensive stats, because our texture is very selective. So in June, when Jack pitched, 3 starts, not good, 5.63 ERA, only 8 innings. He was very bad. I think we'd all agree. In September, October, 6 games, 5 starts, 3.86 ERA, 28 innings, 27 strikeouts. Nobody's saying it was the greatest thing ever, but that's pretty dang good.
How
And
many
it was
walks?
Much better. Oh, he walked a ton. 13 walks.
Such a small sample size, a guy coming back from injury.
How many tweets?
It's hard to gauge what you have from that.
But I was responding to his velo was not down.
How many tears? Are
How
there
many
any
tears? He
shed?
choked up with Waino the other day,
I
talking
saw
about Waino.
That really got to me. I mean, I choked up.
Is that true?
For what?
I thought it was a really sweet moment
I think
from
he's being
an emotionally mature human
you're
being
taking
who's
a shot.
27 years old.
Taking a shot.
And then I also heard he wasn't too pleased. Well, I should probably
No more
shouldn't.
candidate
No,
Nate.
come on,
No
Nate.
more
It's all
candidate
good now,
Nate.
baby.
Go after
We're
Ballard.
with Lindenwood.
Go after Ballard.
We're with Lindenwood.
Go after the
I'm an
Cardinals.
expert when it
See-
comes to analyzing Democratic media coverage.
Does he not like to, should I just say, fly with the people, where the people sit? Is there
Jack?
some controversy about, where certain individuals had their tickets booked
What are we talking about?
on the plane into the winter warm-up?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, what is it?
Little Birdie told me that maybe a grievance was filed over the fact that non-first-class tickets were booked.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's just coming out now.
But I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I'm not really
So
sure.
he bitched and complained that he didn't sit first class? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm...
I booked his flight. That was on me.
Is this Mayor Pete's fault?
Pete Buttigieg.
I did hear a nice story
Is
about.
this Klaus Schwab's fault?
Did you see all the? Did you
I'm
see
sorry,
all the
Paul.
Jets?
Is this Klaus
1,000.
Schwab?
Did you see the Jets lined up